Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to show you how I colored my reel. Let's jump in. So I'm in Final Cut Pro. If you're in Premiere or DaVinci, the same rules apply. I have a cocktail of sauce on top of this footage to make it look the way it does. And I'm going to break it down for you here. These adjustment layers have on them camera-specific LUTs, and I think all of them except for one is the Phantom LUT Vision Teal. And so this of course is a drone shot, and as you can see up here, this is the Vision Teal for the Mavic 3 Pro D-Log M. And if we come over here, this is Vision Teal for the FX6. And if we come over here, this is shot on the A1-2, which takes the Burano LUT, and this is Vision Teal Burano. The only clips that don't take the Vision Teal Phantom LUT is this GoPro stuff, because Joel from Phantom LUTs doesn't make a GoPro LUT. GoPro makes a GoPro LUT that is actually really pretty good. It's this GP Log Creative EV0 LUT. And so that's what's converting this to Rec 709. Everything shot in log, different flavors of log. There's red wide gamut here. There's a lot of S-Log 3 and some D-Log M. And so I've taken the corresponding proper Phantom LUT for each one of the cameras, and I've converted it to Rec 709. Some people have reached out to me over the years and they don't get the same results I do with Phantom LUTs, and it turns out that they might be using like a 5-year-old version. Joel's been making and working on these LUTs for many years, maybe 7 or 8 years. So maybe they're using an early version of an FX6 LUT. He sends you free updates. So it's really important to use the right LUT. One last time, again, A12 Burano LUT doing most of the work. After that, I have 2 touches of sauce on top. The first one we'll go through is on this adjustment layer. This is Dehancer, what I use for grain and bloom. And as you can see, it's just adding this textured grain on top. Unfortunately, this stuff gets cleaned up in YouTube and Instagram, and you have to be careful adding too much. It'll be overcooked, in my opinion. Or if you add too little, it'll just get cleaned up online. This time, I figured clients, producers, directors that might not love the grain might get turned off by too much, so I erred on the side of too little. I've got nothing going on with Dehancer except for this grain right here, 65mm ISO 50 grain, and some bloom. And I like the default bloom settings. I just take the impact down to 20. Okay, so that's at the very top of the chain. If you're in DaVinci, it would be the last node in the chain. And then the second to last node in the chain would be this adjustment layer. And this is called CinePrint. I've been messing around with CinePrint for a while now, but I haven't used it like this. Basically, I'm adding a CinePrint LUT at 40%. And the LUT that it is the Rec 709 LUT. So it's expecting Rec 709. It's expecting a finished Rec 709 image, which is what I'm giving it because I'm basically done with my grade. And then I'm choosing the clean white 500T. I love what it's doing. It's giving this filmic richness, color change. I just love everything about it. And I could have gone farther with it. I could have pushed it farther. It looks stunning. But it starts to milk up and stuff, and I just said, I'll just put it at 40%. Generally speaking, a log to Rec 709 LUT, like all my Phantom LUTs down below, are at 100% always. The reason why this is at 40% is because it's a Rec 709 LUT. That's just adding a little bit of sauce on top. That LUT is kind of flattening the image a little bit. So this color board is just barely adding a little bit of contrast. So here's the Phantom LUT, here's Dehancer, very subtle, and here's CinePrint. Then I'm gonna go into the clip and I'm gonna start tweaking things to my eye, right? So I'm gonna start looking and I'm gonna see what I like and what I don't like and where I want to go with this. So very, very subtle changes, but I barely tweaked the greens here. Very subtle green hue, more towards like warm yellow and away from cyan. So the greens, the next thing I did was I had a big old vignette, and here you can see it right there. And then the last thing I did was just add a little bit of contrast by pulling the blacks down, the whites up. I love the tones in this one, so let me show you these. So again, Phantom LUT Vision Teal. Dehancer, just adding that grain and bloom that looks so nice. And then CinePrint. And you can really see here what it's doing tonally, like this greenish blue into that water sheen, and it feels like film. It's unreal. It's so good. So now let's go in and turn off all of these adjustments and see what I did. So one by one, these are the things I added. So I added a vignette here. There's naturally a bloom coming in from this sunrise here in the top left of the image, and it's warm. And basically what I'm doing is I'm adding a mask to enhance that. That's with it off and that's with it on. It feels flat. It needs contrast, a bunch of contrast pushed into it, and then it just needs a little bit of help color-wise. And so there's the contrast, and that was the color tweak I did. D-Log M, there's the Phantom LUT, there's Dehancer, there's the CinePrint, and then all of my effects took it from this to this. First thing, vignette, simple. Second thing, I just tweaked some hues in the blue. I wanted this sky and this water to pop a little bit more than it was, so I just added some saturation to it, tweaked the hue a little bit. The sun is already doing this flare in the corner, so we're just adding to it. That same natural color that's coming in right there, which is the sunset, we're just adding more of it. Next, this is barely doing anything, but there was like not a lot of color separation going on in here. It's probably got to do with the flare, but there was just kind of like this green haze right here over the river, and I just came in here and cleaned it up. I just changed the color, just took away that yellowish green a little bit to make that river blue and pop. And then finally here, big contrast and color adjustments. So push the highlights towards magenta and added a bunch of contrast. So again, Phantom LUT Vision Teal for Burano, Dehancer Grain and Bloom, and CinePrint. I'm adding a warm mask right here, playing into the sunrise that's coming in over her hat. This is a pretty big vignette. Again, this kind of feels flat, and then the vignette right over her eye draws the attention. And then finally, a little bit of color and contrast. And then this needed some warmth and highlights towards red. We can talk about this one. This one has been a clip that's been around for a number of years. Basically, I wanted to protect the highlights, the sky. It was late day, light, and he was driving around the salt flat, and I just kind of had to guess, not guess, but make an educated guess on exposure. I probably underexposed by maybe a stop or two, and thankfully the FX6 is clean, but I had to do some work, and it's definitely pushing the file. So Phantom LUT FX6, yeah, there you go. Dehancer, CinePrint, So first things first, I got to make it brighter, right? So mids and highlights up without making it look too funky. And then a little bit of warmth added in. I adjusted the hue with that underexposure. His face got really red, so I just adjusted his skin tone a little bit and made it a little less red, a little bit more towards yellow. Just a little mask to pop his face. Fix that underexposure. And then finally adding just a little bit of bloom, sort of enhancing the sunlight. You don't want this to happen. You want to nail exposure, but again, I was protecting highlights here and, you know, set the settings and let him do his run. And unfortunately, it was underexposed. Fortunately, I was able to bring it back. This was shot on the Red Dragon. So this is the Phantom LUT for Komodo, which works perfectly. Dehancer and CinePrint. And then all of my clip adjustments, starting with the first color board, just adding contrast, blacks down, lights up usually. This yellow isn't really where I wanted it, so I went into the HSLs and I gave it a little bit more orange, which I like a lot. I gave it a vignette, right? And then finally, that same sun bloom mask in from the side that warms. So we're there, and then we're there. Last one of my favorites, GoPro LUT, straight from GoPro. I'm bringing my highlights towards orange and my shadows away from orange, so a little bit of split toning. And then I'm actually using Dehancer now, telling it that this is a Rec 709 image, which it is because of the GoPro LUT. And then I am choosing the 500T film stock, which looks wonderful. Expanding the image a little bit, that's basically just telling blacks down, black point down. And then the Fujifilm 3513 print film, which is just an added, I mean, you can see what that's doing is incredible. Color density adds a little bit of richness and saturation to those reds, adding contrast here. And then some halation and bloom. Actually, on the clip itself, there's a ton of work. This is a sort of a highlight roll-off because after all these adjustments, those whites were just a little bit too harsh. So by rolling down the top of the curve, you can really just soften those highlights. Shape mask, this is a vignette. Color adjustments, I just needed to push the shadows up, so I did that. Color board, warming things up a little bit. And then finally the first color board, was just warming things up a little bit and then bringing the exposure down. This is kind of complicated way. If I were to do this again, I would probably cut these adjustments in half. This was something I had previously edited, and I just wanted to keep the grade because I liked it. That's it. Hopefully it gives you some insight into how I colored the reel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Think about subscribing. If you haven't seen the reel yet, go back a video or two, give it a watch. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one.